Honey is one of the only foods on Earth that does not spoil. Archaeologists have found jars of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that were thousands of years old and still edible. That sounds impossible in a world where most foods rot, mold, or ferment within days or weeks. But honey's longevity is not magic, and it is not luck. It is the result of chemistry, biology, and an unusually deliberate manufacturing process carried out by bees. To understand why honey never spoils, you first have to understand that honey is not nectar. Nectar is watery and unstable. If you left nectar sitting out, it would ferment quickly. Honey is what nectar becomes after bees radically transform it. When bees collect nectar from flowers, it contains a high percentage of water, often more than 70%. That environment is perfect for bacteria and yeast. But bees do not store nectar as is. Inside the hive, worker bees repeatedly ingest the nectar and pass it between each other. During this process, enzymes in the bees' bodies break down complex sugars into simpler ones like glucose and fructose. At the same time, bees actively remove water. They spread the liquid into thin layers inside honeycomb cells and fan it with their wings, accelerating evaporation. By the time nectar becomes honey, its water content has dropped to around 18% or less. That number is critical. Most bacteria and microbes cannot survive in environments with such low water availability. Honey is not just dry. It is hygroscopic, meaning it actively pulls moisture out of its surroundings. Any microorganism that lands in honey loses water and dies. Sugar concentration is the second key factor. Honey is an extreme sugar solution. The osmotic pressure created by that sugar content is lethal to most microbes. Their cells cannot maintain balance and collapse. This is why honey was historically used as a wound dressing. It did not just cover wounds, it actively suppressed bacterial growth. Acidity is the third layer of protection. Honey is naturally acidic, with a pH typically between 3 and 4.5. That acidity alone is enough to inhibit many pathogens. But honey adds another defense. When honey is diluted, an enzyme called glucose oxidase produces small amounts of hydrogen peroxide. This creates a mild antiseptic effect. In undiluted honey, the enzyme remains inactive, preserving the honey itself. When moisture increases, the enzyme activates, protecting against contamination. These layers work together. Low water content prevents growth. High sugar creates osmotic stress. Acidity blocks survival. Enzymes provide backup defense. Very few foods combine all of these properties naturally. That is why honey behaves differently from syrups or jams, which often spoil once opened. Honey's stability also depends on how it is stored. As long as it is kept sealed and dry, it remains inhospitable to microbes. The moment water is introduced through contamination or improper storage, fermentation can occur. This is why honey can spoil if diluted or mixed improperly. But in its natural state, honey is self-preserving. Crystallization sometimes confuses people. When honey turns solid, many assume it has gone bad. In reality, crystallization is simply sugar coming out of solution. It does not indicate spoilage. Crystallized honey is just as safe as liquid honey and can be returned to liquid form with gentle heat. The bees designed honey to last. Honey is food meant to sustain a hive through winter when flowers are gone. If honey spoiled easily, bees would not survive. Natural selection favored a substance that resists decay completely. Humans benefited accidentally. Honey became one of the first shelf-stable foods, long before refrigeration or preservatives existed. So why does honey never spoil? Because it is not just food. It is a carefully engineered survival resource created by insects that perfected preservation millions of years before humans understood microbiology. Honey lasts because it leaves almost nothing alive inside it. Once you understand that, honey stops being mysterious and starts being impressive. It is not immortal. It is simply hostile to decay. If you enjoyed this explanation, the next story explores another everyday food that lasts far longer than it logically should. Click on the channel to discover more untold stories behind simple things.